I said, well, first of all, you don't understand economics and free market. And second of all, I don't think if you go by that thinking, I don't think you'd spend $2 for one Twinkie. I mean, because face it, that's probably what paying people at $17 an hour or more. That's probably what a Twinkie should cost in order to cover all their costs, especially with Obamacare coming up. Is $2. Yeah, I know. There's also a Denny's guy. We're going to talk about Obamacare a little bit too. Denny's talking about having a 5% surcharge in order to pay for Obamacare, but you can't. If you were to say, well, everybody should be able to get a decent wage. Well, let's having $17 an hour for somebody who mixes the dough for the cakes at Hostess is kind of the equivalent of paying kids at McDonald's that. What do you think your Happy Meal would cost at McDonald's if the average person at McDonald's is making $36,000 a year? Well, your Happy Meal wouldn't be $3 or $4 or $5. It'd be like $12. Literally. Hey, 'cause, look, people are, these businesses are in business to make a profit. You're the one that's taking the job. And if you know that your company, well, I know that, what was this is the second time that Hostess has been in bankruptcy trying to reorganize. But the last time they came out of bankruptcy, they didn't learn their lesson, and the unions and the employees didn't do what they needed to do. Look, they call it legacy cost. You know, how you're still paying for people that no longer work for you and no longer produce anything for you, but you're still paying for them. That's called legacy. That is what hurt General Motors big time. This legacy cost. Companies can't do that. They're not the government. They can't print their own money. They have to earn it by selling their product or service. And in order to do that, they can't sell themselves out of the market. Obviously, Hostess can't, say, well, if everybody for snack cakes and cupcakes, if they're charging, I don't know, what's the cost now? 69 cents for two? Well, they can't run around and start trying to charge $1. They won't sell. People will go to Little Debbie and Drake's and the other snack cake manufacturers across the country, and the Hostess would still lose. You can't do that. I mean, look, this is a bit now. Instead of taking a small pay cut from, like, say, $37,000 to $32,000 a year, or $36,000 to $32,000 a year, now you're getting $0 a year. You went from 36 to 0. Congratulations. Your strike worked. We got a bunch of people that are thinking that they can do the same thing on Walmart on Black Friday. Look, these are these people, these companies are much larger than Hostess. I mean, Walmart could buy Hostess with the profits from 1 month of operation from one store. They could almost, I guess. But the Hostess did, their gross sales is only like $2 billion. But I think a single Walmart store that does $1 billion a year. It does like $100 million a month in order to stay in business. It has to, but that's a lot of money, because what they're almost at $500 billion a year now, over $400 billion in sales. But we're not talking little tiny 18,500 people at Hostess. We're talking 1.4 million people worldwide for Walmart. They're too big to put up with this stuff. The old saying, "Well, they're too big to fail." Well, Walmart is too big to fail at the moment. And they're not gonna put, you're talking bazillions of dollars. They're not gonna allow it. And you people that think you're gonna slow things down, in this economy, you're gonna get booted, fired, and replaced in a heartbeat. I mean, look, I fully understand that you should have, a right to regress and be able to air your grievances against your employer if you feel you're being cheated. But let's be honest here. You go to work at Walmart knowing what it is. You know you're not going to get wealthy off of it. You know it's not going to be high paying. You know what it is. And this always strikes me. People that they go get a job knowing everything they can possibly know about the company. They get the job. They're happy about it at first, and then they start griping. Well, man, they don't pay me enough to do this. Well, you accepted the job. You knew it getting into it. I mean, companies are not like Nancy Pelosi. We have to hire you before we tell you how much you're going to make and what the job entails. Well, they tell you up front. Yeah, hey, job's going to pay $9 an hour and you're going to have to do this, this, and this. Is that a problem? And you obviously, if you want the job, you say, no, I can do that. A lot of people, they're like, yeah, I can do that. And they're thinking to themselves, I'm going to be the best at doing that they've ever seen. And they're going to want to keep me and promote me. And they get in the job, and then a couple of months later, they're not, vice president of, assistant manager of the store. And so they get depressed and they get, man, I ain't doing that. Well, that's what you signed on for. They don't pay me enough to do that. That's what you agreed to get paid. A few years ago, after my separation and divorce, I delivered pizza to help make ends meet. I didn't complain because they were only paying me $5 or $6 or $7 an hour. I knew I agreed to it. I didn't complain about it. No, I didn't run around saying, well, these damn tips don't count for nothing, man. They need to pay me. No. I knew that there were going to be some nights, hey, I was going to do pretty well, and there were going to be some nights I was going to do pretty sucky. And as I saw gas prices rise, I knew, okay, am I still going to want to do this? Is it going to be worth it because of the gas prices, or is it not? Then I have to make a decision. I can't say, well, either you pay me or I quit. No, I mean, that's stupid. I accepted the job on the terms as they were. I knew that there weren't going to be any quote-unquote regular raises. And I couldn't be upset about doing certain things in the pizza shop because that was part of the job. Well, I'm not doing that. I'm a driver. I don't shave cheese or grate cheese or make the dough. I mean, that was ridiculous. That would be ridiculous. So I took the job knowing full they weren't hiding anything. Not at all. They told me exactly what I had to do, what was expected, what I was going to be paid. I knew. I said, yeah. And they said, can you do that? I said, yeah, I can do that. Okay, you got car insurance? Yeah, I got car insurance. Well, you can be a driver too. That's what I wanted. So, if my car broke down and I couldn't afford to fix it, whose fault is that? Mine. Not the company's. Well, man, I was driving for them. Well, I should have known that, there's going to be extra wear and tear in my vehicle if I'm driving around trying to get, deliver pizza for them in sub sandwiches. Actually, I kind of had fun with it. If you're going to have a job, if you're going to be absolutely terribly miserable at your job, you might as well find a new line of work. Yeah, I've had jobs I've hated. And if I got to the point where I couldn't stand going in, I looked for another one. You got to at least like it a little bit. Either that, or if you're getting paid so much that you can put up Like auto workers, some of those people making 60, 70, 80 grand a year, well, they may not like their position, but hey, where else are they going to get 80 grand a year for not doing much? Yes, I said not doing much, and I know I'm not going to take it back. Look, I know people who've worked in places like that. I knew a guy that all he did was drive a forklift. He drove the forklift inside a new process gear in Syracuse, New York. And if the part or whatever he had to that he had to move, he could not move it with the forklift, he would not move it. Because, my job is to drive the forklift. I do not have to get out of this forklift to do anything. If you don't stack it on the pallet properly, so I can pick it up with a forklift, that's not my problem. And he used to complain about his job all the time. I hate this job. It's boring, blah, blah, blah. People, they don't do stuff like they're supposed to and put it on the pallet. I said, well, why don't you make it more interesting and get out of the forklift? No, it's not my job to do that. I said, well, then find a new job. He goes, are you kidding me? Or else am I going to make 70 grand a year doing nothing? So there you have it. It's the same with the hostess people. You know what you're getting into. You also knew that the company was in trouble and it could go bankrupt. Whether or not they threatened to go out of business before and they didn't do it, you had to take them serious this time. Because it was dire. I mean, hell, they already shut down a few plants, a few bakeries before then, and some 650 plus people were put out of work. I would think if I'm walking that picket line, oh shit. Yeah, I just swore. Because that's what these people are thinking, or should be thinking. As they're walking a picket line, oh man. They just shut down a couple of bakeries, man. 650 of our people just lost their jobs. You know what, gang? We should put these picket signs down, go back to work. Because if we don't, we're going to be a part of that 650. And guess what? They now are. Because they didn't put down the picket signs. Yeah, look, that's the free market system. That's free enterprise. I don't care how much you like Hostess or how good or how long the company's been around. If they can't hack it and can't make it, then they go out of business. That's the way it works. I mean, there have been companies that were older than Hostess that have gone out of business. That's just the way it works. Nothing lasts forever. If you don't change and adapt and develop new processes and ways of doing things, you're going to be out of business. Why do you think there are not all that many companies that have been around for 100 years or more? Because either they go out of business, they get bought out for various reasons, and some of those various reasons include they're not doing so well, like Bain Capital comes in and rescues. Happens a lot. There are even fewer companies that are 200 years old or more. Because nothing lasts forever. So you got to be, resigned to that fact. And, just don't think that just because you're a part of a union that you automatically get to demand certain things and get away with it. Hell, that union might be a detriment to you, and in this particular case, it was a detriment to Hostess. And if you've ever listened to the show, you know that I'm not pro-union. I've been a member of 2 unions. The International Brotherhood of Iron Workers and the Teamsters. And I got to tell you, neither one of them did me any favors. So no, I am not. I paid a lot of money in initiation fees and monthly dues and annual dues, and I didn't get jack back, Jack. So no, I'm not. I am not a pro.